There's a way you live in the house and a way that you sell a house and market a house.
Is it something that the buyers will be expecting? Hi, I'm Phoebe.
And I am Jake.
We own Foxy Home Staging. We help homes sell for faster and for a higher price.
We've staged thousands of homes. We've worked with thousands of agents across Brisbane and Gold Coast, and we've learned what works well when staging a home for sale.
Today we're going to run through what we would do if we had to get the most from our homes if we were to sell it in today's market. All right, so over the past 9 years, we've styled a lot of homes, and some of them have sold very, very quickly, and some of them haven't. There isn't generally a consistency. There isn't really something that you can pinpoint. However, over 9 years, we've definitely found some things that could definitely be done better.
There's a range of things that, in general, as general concepts and rules, we should follow. So yeah, we're going to share some of the ones that we would do 100% if we were the ones selling our house.
All right, so we have a big. We've got 4 kids and 2 of us. So there's a lot of people in our house and a dog. So we own a nice big family home on the south side of Brisbane. So if we were to get it ready to go to market and for whatever reason we needed to sell it next month, what would we do?
So I guess the first thing that we need to think about, and we're going to get to things like choosing an agent in a minute, but the first thing that we'd be thinking about is that outside look, the curb appeal, I guess is what we would say. So there's some very easy things that we can do that have a bigger or an outsized impact. And we're not talking about, completely changing things on the outside, but there's some really basic things.
We currently have a full-sized football goal in our front yard.
Which is fantastic for the afternoon playtime.
Our boys are 8 and 10 and 30, almost 40. And they very much love their football goals. Now, driving up to our front yard, and it's not even for sale, but it's not a good first impression. It's not the thing you want to drive in and find when you're looking for your new forever home.
That's right. So there's a way you live in a house, and we're going to talk about this inside as well. There's a way you live in the house and a way that you sell a house and market a house. So that example is a good one, that the way we use it is definitely for us. But if we were selling, that thing would be very fast to go. Things like making sure your front yard is mown, the grass is mown.
Perfect.
Anything, there's probably some things, I mentioned before, things that are really easy can have an outsized impact. There's some things that are maybe a little bit less easy but can also have a really big impact. And one of them from outside the house is painting the outside or the facade of your house. Big job, but depending on the state of your property, that could be something that is, if not a big improvement, it at least, without being painted, it can be something that can really decrease the value if it's something that's well overdue. So one thing to consider.
You seem to be making this more neutral base, and I'm trying to refer it back to our own home.
We've done a bit of both. So
I'm going to refer it back to our house again, because what I find when I'm having these conversations, when I'm in a consultation with somebody, you make your home the very best it is, the very best version, and then you sell it. And there are things that over the past, we've been in our house now for 8 years, and there are things that it would take 2 seconds to change, and yet we don't do them until we're ready to sell. So they're the things we're talking about that need to get done. We have pendant lights at the front of our house. 2 of them don't work, 2 of them do. All of them need to work. We did repaint the front of our exterior the full exterior of our home over one Easter weekend a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Our house was yellow. It is now not. We've had a fencing going. We've painted our fence. Now, fencing is one of the best ways to make your home look sharp. If you have fencing panels that are old dated, they've definitely been worn in the sun, they need a varnish, they need to be replaced, a coat of monument paint on them, something like that to make them look fresh and sharp goes a really, really long way, and it made a big difference for our home.
Yeah.
Kids alongside the property, all the toys, everything like that you have. If you have a visible backyard,
the bikes,
or a side
the scooters,
yard, they can just make it feel really cluttered and messy. Now, it is a sign of a happy home, and it should definitely be there, but for an open home, they need to be popped away. Those types of things, when you're bringing a home to market, from a curbside appeal, it's the same as when you're looking to interview somebody, you do a digital interview. When you drive past a property, that's the first way someone's going to fall in love, and it needs to be picture perfect. So there's some weekend tasks for Jake. All right, let's go inside. We've got notes. Mitch wrote us some notes, and we're going out of order. So the reason I think we go out of order is because there are things that are going to have long-term I think things that'll take you longer to get fixed, things that won't take you as long, things that you can do that you definitely will give you impact and value. And if you are unsure, then you should do your order around a little bit of a different way to what we're suggesting and contact your agent first. And I would say that's probably why Mitch has got that as number one.
And the agents will have their own advice and opinions on this stuff, which is why it's important potentially to talk to them first. The other side of that is that once you get in contact with an agent, it can be that there's time pressure. So there's an urgency to what the agents do. And obviously the sooner they list, the better for them as a general rule. And yeah, so there's generally going to be an urgency to it. So on one hand, that can kind of force your hand and make you get ready faster. But on the other, maybe it means that you can take shortcuts if you're not careful. So we're talking about things that we would do regardless. And most great agents would talk about this if it's needed anyway.
We'll come back to agents later. But for now, we're going to go and look at what you can do on the interior of your property and where we would spend money prior to asking for advice to the agent, and where we would then bring their opinion in for where we would spend money.
I think the first one, and I'm thinking about our house here, is the little things that we're going to fix that are obviously not fixed. So, we've done some work in the kitchen and it's mostly done, but there's some shelves we didn't put in. So it's going through and doing those things that are going to stand out as not finished. Those things just have to be done.
We had a vanity mirror fall off the wall, and there is still no mirror in the place of said bed. The mirror didn't break. It is sitting on the floor in our master bedroom, and it has been for like 2 years.
2 years.
But it's still not there. So, and we are not alone in that. Like, I have this conversation all the time when I walk into a home. You have those little odd jobs that you start, don't finish, the things that are a little bit tricky. Like getting a handyman to come and do that. I guess we could try and do it, but hanging a big heavy mirror. Obviously, like I said, 4 kids. We've got 2 boys, 2 girls. They have had scooters inside. Little Miss 2-year-old loves texters, and she very much likes to draw, not on paper. And the boys' footprints up the wall as they move up the wall, because that's what hallways are great for. Now, again, sign of a happy home, but not necessarily. I actually call them love marks. But they're imperfections that are very...
You don't smile when you say it.
I don't call them love marks at home. Everybody else's home has love marks. Mine is a sign of ungratefulness. But they are so easy to fix. A coat of paint to make it feel fresher and lighter. If you've got a darker colour palette, which some of the older homes, 10 years plus, were painted in hog's bristle with a warmer colour palette, or even some of the darker greys, really now, that is not the best way to present your home. And bringing in a lighter colour of paint throughout your home, a natural white, definitely not kid friendly, but that will make a world of difference to how your home presents.
So that's one of those things that has, again, an outsized impact for what maybe doesn't seem like a big deal. Like a fresh coat of paint just makes it seem like a new, fresh home.
And smell, the scent of fresh paint. It just does so much stuff.
And in the similar sort of line of thinking, the carpets is often one that in our house, again, if I'm thinking about ours, we had carpets, brand new carpet put in when we moved in, but that was now 8 years ago, and 4 kids running around, and it's coming up in some places, and it probably doesn't look very fresh. So if we were selling our house, that'd probably be one of the main things that we would look at doing.
However, you don't necessarily need to replace it. So what Jake's talking about is the bunching of the carpet in certain places. If you have that happening in one room, generally that's happened because we've slid heavy furniture and we haven't lifted and moved it. Now, you don't need to replace it necessarily. It can be restretched, which is the same carpet company. They'll come out and do it really easily. But if there is any signs of wear, particularly in an investment property, a replacement of that carpet would be warranted. If you Google what should I do to prepare my home for sale, it'll come up with replacing fixtures and fittings, doorknobs, giving your kitchen a whole new sense of like fresh and new. Honestly, it's down to the kitchen, it's down to how they've been used. There's a lot of now push clothes, all those sorts of things. It's down to a property. They're the questions I would be asking a real estate agent. Is it necessary for the buyers in the area for those touches to be done? Is it something that the buyers will be expecting?
Yeah, it comes back to expectations, really.
Comparative to what else is on the market.
And the agent is the one to ask that.
Curtains and fixtures.
This is a you thing.
Now, so curtains, my thoughts on that. Curtains are incredibly personal. Spending the money on curtains, I've seen this happen, they're not cheap. Getting curtains in, getting all new shutters, and then the next buyer comes in and wants to bring their personal touch to the property, and one of the first things that they can do or will do is to replace your brand new curtains with roller blinds, or take out the shutters because they're too dark and bring in shears, or floor to ceiling curtains. I would keep what you're going, if your curtains work, perfect. If they don't feel dated, perfect. If they're not patterned, perfect. If they're any of the above and they don't work, replace them with some sheer curtains. And I think we see that time and time again.
And you're talking about a low
option.
cost, most effective option. Don't go overboard. It's just more of a small change to have a little impact.
Yep. So I guess now would be a convenient time to bring in a real estate agent.
Yeah, so again, we should also just clarify, all those things, they can be very big jobs. They can be costly jobs potentially, especially painting and carpets and things like that. So I guess we're not, again, just to clarify, we're not saying do these things no matter what, but they are definitely things to ask the question about.
Yeah, well, we're just explaining for our house.
Yeah, for our house, we would definitely look at those things. But I think it's definitely a question to ask no matter what the property. A lot of them will be, you don't need to.
Yeah.
At this point, if we're talking about an agent, so one of the things that's really important, or not one of the most important decisions you're going to make when you're selling a house, is the agent that you choose to go with. Yeah. Now, we have had the benefit of working with thousands of agents. We know most of the agents around Brisbane and Gold Coast, and definitely those in our area. So for us, it's a very, I was going to say an easy decision. I think the hardest part of our decision is that we've worked with multiple agents, and somebody would feel let down if we didn't choose them. But if you don't have that experience that we do, you need to find the right agent for you, somebody who you gel with, somebody who you communicate well with, who you get the right feeling and vibe from when you speak to them. But then obviously you're also going to want somebody who knows your area well and is quite successful in selling and has experience around there. So you would want to start with obviously your research. You want to probably reach out to a number of agents and have conversations with them, and make sure that you, like I said, that vibe check is really important up front. Is it somebody who you feel like you can work well with, and somebody who maybe if a week or two in you're not getting the first results you want, can you have an open conversation? Can you ask questions and you get do you feel like there's somebody who's going to work with you from that point of view?
Yeah. I agree. I think that gut feel, you need to make sure that it's a good one. You'll know the agents that you can have an honest conversation with. An agent that walks into a property and tells you it's absolutely perfect when you know that it isn't, is an agent that isn't going to be able to have those hard conversations when it comes to negotiating the sale price. So if they can't have the hard conversations with you, especially when 3 other agents have said there is work to do in your home, that is a flag for me. I would say one where there is great communication. I think the way that they present themselves when they come in, what sort of market analysis have they done? What information are they giving you? What other sales have they got in the area? How much do they know about your neighbourhood? To be absolutely honest, in our neighbourhood, it's actually quite a difficult conversation to find an agent, because there isn't one agency or one agent that has a clear hold on our area. There isn't even somebody who has maybe a hold. Our area is one that you will see 9 or 10 different, it's not a big suburb, and yet there are 10-ish agents that are selling maybe a couple of houses a month.
We're almost on the edge of a couple of other areas, and because of that, nobody specialises.
Yep.
So that gives us options, but it means that there's nobody who knows our area as their kind of bread and butter.
But it gives a really great opportunity for those agents that you get through the door to come have a conversation with you on your couch to give them the opportunity to show you what they can know and what they do find, and the research and how much it means to them to get that listing. Yeah. I think it's really down to the gut feel and the passion and the energy that they have and what they bring to that conversation for you, as to whether or not you'll go with them. So once you've decided on them, you can then use their expertise to figure out how much work is required in your property. So have those discussions about the doorknobs, have those discussions about the fixtures and fittings. Do you need to replace your fans? Does the outdoor fan have any rust on it? Should we replace that? All of those things. My light bulbs they're all warm white. Should I change them to cool white? All of those conversations. You will then be able to tap into their supplier network. Every agent has a group of trades and experts in the field that are amazing at what they do. Having a referral from an agent for a trade is like gold, and they will look after that agent significantly, and they'll go out of their way to make sure that you are looked after. So they are a really great supply network to really tap into. Then an agent will have a recommendation for almost everything that you require.
Yep.
So that's, once you've got them on board, definitely worth asking. Most of them will have that in their marketing that they'll give to you at that point in time.
And then I guess the last thing, once you get to that point, I would say is asking a question about timing. And again, that's, the agent is going to have some idea about the market and what maybe is pushing on either a faster sale or what time. So
Auction,
Easter,
treaty,
or if there's particular weekends that they would try and work towards or avoid, things like that. That's another part of the conversation that maybe isn't obvious to start with, but having been in the industry for a long time now, we see that there are certain times where people definitely don't want to list, and then there are times where it's like, if we know that that's coming up, we need to hit the market sooner rather than later.
Yep, so to summarise, we're going to make sure that a home is ready for its first impression, making sure that it looks beautiful from a bare bones perspective. We're then going to get a great team to represent our property and make sure we give it we're going to set it up for success. We're going to give it the very best grounding behind it with the people who are going to represent it at its best. We're then going to dress it up. We're going to make it look amazing. I've never spoken about styling like that. We're going to dress it up. We're going to stage it. And there is not one situation where we wouldn't style our property for sale.
And again, I realise we're sitting at this table as home stagers. We're biased. The reality is we would never do it without it. We've seen too many stories of it working, too many stories where it didn't stage and it hasn't worked as well. For us, it's a no-brainer, and I think that's, like, depending on where you are, you get somebody in who knows your area in the same way that you select the right agent. You find the stager that's going to work the best in your area with your team, with the agent, the relationship there. Definitely staging is something
I've got a question for you.
Go on.
Would we move out?
While we were selling, the part of me that knows we've got 4 kids and a whole lot of stuff says no. The part of me that sees results every day says yes.
Also, you have a wife who needs to stay staying.
Yeah, so yes, while you're selling, recommendation is, if you can make that work, move out, let the house be styled and everything properly, and take away all the personalisation, all the clutter, all the stuff that goes with living there. But also recognise that that's not always an easy thing.
No, and it's not. There's not always
an
option.
But you want the best result, and that's what you should be. In an ideal world, that's what you would do.
I truly believe that by following those 3 major steps, making sure it's, like I said before, getting it ready, getting the best team, and then dressing it up, that's the best way to ensure the best outcome for your home.
Yep.
Did we miss a point?
We almost missed staging, I think.
Stage.
I was kind of ready to wrap it up.
Like, there's one little thing we need to
Yeah,
mention.
no.